Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
I'm Seth.
Jenna.
And on today's show, we're going to be talking about a variety of different shows. We're going to talk about Archive 81, which is kind of a cool new series out there, along with Discovery of Witches, Vox Machina, and there might be another one or two that come up in the middle of this whole show as well. So let's kick it off with Jenna first. And Jenna, you want to take us into Archive 81?
Yes, so definitely haven't completed it yet, but it's been intriguing, and I would say it's worth checking out if you like a good mystery, because it's kind of a new spin on found footage. You have the character on the left whose name is suddenly escaping me, and that makes me terrible for prepping. I'm sorry.
Let me see if I can find it while you're chatting.
He restores films, like damaged films, for a museum that focuses on film. And he gets a random job to kind of a special one-off for a client that wants this certain footage that they found cleaned up quickly. And when he does such a good job, they're like, hey, we have a bunch of other videos related to this. We really need you to do this for us at a site. We'll pay you $100,000 for a short-term contract. And he's like,
yes, please.
Well, it's like, it's kind of weird because he can't find anything on this company. And all he knows is that there was a fire in the 90s for this apartment building, 13 unaccounted for. And the construction company involved with it was the Lund development. And it happens to be that this guy is from that same development. So he's kind of unsure, like, should I take this job? Should I not? Something feels off. But then he notices that the person who owned the film that he cleaned up, she's got a picture of herself with his dog when he was a kid. Mm-hmm. And that sets of like, how does she know this? Like, something is telling him he needs to engage this, see what's happening. Because his parents also died in the 90s with his sister and supposedly that same dog in a house fire while he was out. No, not the dog, because he was out walking the dog. And then his family died in a fire about the same time that this apartment building fire occurred.
Mm.
So
his character's name is Dan, by the way. It's played
Dan.
by Mahmoudou Afi.
And he's a great job, a very subtle actor. So as he's digging, he agrees to take the job because he's like, maybe there's something there that I need to be paying attention to.
Also $100,000.
Yeah, $100,000.
Right.
Which when I don't imagine restoring film for a film museum pays the most.
No.
So and what's kind of funny about it is his best friend actually does an urban legend podcast. So he's kind of like, his best friend's like, what's the story? What are you finding? Because as he goes to this remote location, taking on the job and starts digging into this film, he starts finding more connections to not only his past, but just this like mystery of little things being off, and that, you know, one of the people who was in the film actually was a patient of his father's, who was a psychologist at NYU.
Huh.
So it's very creepy and subtle. It's one of those detail-oriented things, because as what he's uncovering through restoring this film is that a college student who's trying to get her PhD by doing a oral history of this apartment building, which sits on the site where a previous fire had occurred in the 1920s, of a mansion, single owned. We don't know much about the owners yet, but that mansion burned down. They built this apartment building, and she's trying to do an oral history. And the people are kind of private, but there's this little girl, Jess, who can get her ins to get these interviews for her oral history project. And they, one of them reads tarot cards, and it's like, people are pulled here, and there's a sex cult in the community room. But then she meets other people in the community who are like, oh, that's just Belize, and she's likes to over exaggerate things. It's actually just a historical society on the building itself. A lot of people who just want interesting things to sell, because one of the other residents is a professor from Columbia.
Doesn't every old apartment building have like a sex cult?
I mean,
As far as we know.
you got to use the community room for something.
That's right.
You pay for it anyway. Come on.
That's right.
And
It's
then,
included.
ultimately, first off, she says, her story starts to change. So you start to wonder how much you can trust her as the filmmaker, because she says she's filming it for her PhD. And then she says she's also looking for a historian who is there. This woman, who then she finally admits, sorry, spoiler alert, but I don't think it's going to be too much. It was actually her birth mother. So you start to see that there's more and more of an issue of a personal connection with all of this for her.
So she's got some other agenda, really. Is she really doing the
she's really doing the
film
project.
history? Okay.
But she's using it as an excuse to dig into her past, because her adoptive mother had died in the last year.
Okay.
So, but you start, and as he's going through this footage, Dan starts to get more and more connected and invested in the characters. And as he's viewing the footage, it almost seems like they're aware of him watching the footage.
Ooh.
So, and that's kind of where you're left off with episode 3. So you don't know, is it all in his head, because he's so invested in getting this film done, to figure out why is his father seemingly connected to this woman, because they're finding records, or is there something more demonic going on?
So is it that he feels he's being watched, or do we know that he's being watched?
Well, we know for sure he's being watched by his
employer.
Yes, he finds the cameras.
Oh, okay.
And he finds a spot where he can make cell phone calls. So his buddy, who's really funny, who runs the podcast, is helping him.
I see. Okay.
Is like, when he's like, hey, I found this detail, would you look this up for me? His friend will go check it and call him back.
Okay.
And
that was that was kind of one of my concerns with, because Lynn and I watched the first episode, or maybe the first two. I don't know. It was to the point where he got to the place where he's starting to restore the film. And my take on it was, okay, so he goes to, this Dan character goes to meet with the guy that eventually becomes his employer, offers him the $100,000 to do the video restoration project, right? And Dan tries to find information about this company, but there's nothing online. It's like almost like it doesn't exist, right? So he can't find anything, which is kind of mysterious. And so he tells that to the guy. I think it's the guy's name that runs the company is Virgil Davenport, I think is the guy.
Yes.
The character. And so he tells Virgil, I couldn't find anything about you online. And he said, well, I tried looking you up online as well, and you have no social media presence or anything either. I couldn't find any information out about you. But then as the conversation goes on, suddenly this Virgil knows things about this character that the character says, "How did you find that out? This was never posted online." He said, "Well, we do more than just your typical research, I guess." So
Your
it turns
typical
out,
background check.
yeah. So it turns out he knows a lot more about Dan than he initially let on. And then he says, "Okay," says, "Well, when Dan agrees to restore the film, he said, okay." He said, "Well, bring me the film. I'll do the restoration." Well, the film's too fragile to take it anywhere. You'll have to go to where the film is. And of course, the film is in this building that's in a very remote part of the country, away from any civilization.
Well, it's the Catskills, so I mean, it's not
okay.
too remote, but it's definitely off the grid and he claims there's none of these amenities like internet because they just don't use it anymore. It's just storage.
But if it was me, I would never go somewhere where I did not have guaranteed access to the rest of the world. I'd want to know what was going on in the world, even while I was doing this other project. I'd want internet, whether I had to take a sat phone or some means of getting myself connected to the world. And if I took a sat phone, it would be a sat phone that I bought and paid for, and they would reimburse me with, so that they couldn't cut me off in mid-project when I stumbled across some earth-shattering secret that they didn't want revealed, and they decided they needed to eliminate me. I don't want them shutting off my radio.
Right. And that's kind of the whole thing where he does have his suspicions. He's trying to be careful. He's obviously smart, but because he starts to see a personal connection that maybe he can get answers to his own past, he starts making the fatal mistake. Well, we don't know if it's fatal yet. We don't know if it's fatal. The mistake of overlooking these red flags because he wants the answers of his own.
Right.
So it's creepy. It's got a cool storyline and world it's building, and it's one of those things that you're watching with somebody and you're both like trying to figure it out. So I definitely recommend it.
It definitely has that creepy vibe going for it.
Yeah. So and you don't know if it's going to be a happy ending or not.
Right. All right, cool. Lynn and I, we watched the first episode and I liked it. It was intriguing. That was just the one little thing that bothered me. It's like, no, I'd definitely be taking something with me.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. And then we've also, Lynn and I have been watching a program on Amazon Prime. Oh, what's Archive 81's on Netflix?
Netflix.
And then on Amazon Prime, Linda and I have been watching a series called Discovery of Witches, and I think there's 3 seasons actually out now. So it's probably been out there for a while, so folks may have already seen it. We've just started watching it, and it's very good. I think it might have been on another a channel like Sundance or something before it came to Amazon Prime. But anyway, it's out there now, and it's pretty good. It's basically... The story takes place in modern times, and there's creatures that live amongst us. Humanity is mostly unaware of them. We've kind of, forgotten that they existed or discounted it as myth and legend, but there's witches, vampires, and demons. And every group mistrusts the other group. And they all try to keep a low profile because they don't want humanity to become aware that they do exist. And they have like a little, council where they get together and there's representatives from each of the groups, and they decide on the policies that's going to keep everything peaceful and everybody in harmony, right? And so one of the rules is that there's no interspecies relationships, because the primary concern with that is that if you have a witch that were to fall in love and mate with a vampire, the offspring would then be more powerful than any one of the groups alone, and they want to avoid that at all costs. So,
oh no, a half vampire, half witch, that would be so rad. We can't let it happen.
We can't let that happen. Or
it's like
a demon witch or a
that would
vampire
be sick.
demon.
Can't let it happen.
Demon werewolf, or
Yeah.
all sorts of fun stuff. So
Right.
like,
Just be
is
too
the
cool.
is the discovery of witches like a term of like a murder of crows or a flock of geese? Like that's what you call it, is a discovery of witches when it's a group of them? Is
I
that
don't
kind of the
know. You know, I
play?
hadn't thought about that until you just mentioned it. But
I'm pretty
that
sure
could
it's
be
a
possible.
coven of witches is the, but we can look it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, in this world,
Right.
Seth, that's
Oh, okay, fair.
not in typical.
Yeah. So what Linda has on the screen there, the two primary characters in the show, the guy is a vampire, and in this series, vampires do not have to avoid the sun.
I was gonna say he doesn't look very pale. He looks perfectly tan.
Yes, he looks nice. He doesn't have to avoid the sun. They can't fly, but they can move very quickly. And of course, they do drink blood and such.
Well, who doesn't?
And then they also
And
talk
act
about,
condescending.
Yeah. They talk about when they're creating another vampire, they use the term sire, so they're siring another vampire or something.
Like you
and
do.
then the woman, so the vampire is Matthew Claremont, and he's been alive since at least the 1500s. So he's seen a lot of history. Comes from a very ancient family, and there's the Claremont family is very big in the vampire world. They have a seat on the council that makes the decisions as to what happens. And then the woman is Dr. Diana Bishop. That's her character, and so she plays a historian, and but she's also a daughter of witches, and she apparently has a substantial amount of witch power, but she never really used it or was trained in it, mostly because she had been blocked from with some sort of a hex that prevented her, we find out, from using her magic powers.
Haters
But-
gonna hate.
What's that?
Haters gonna hate.
Right. Apparently, the same witches put the hex on her to block her power that may have also killed her parents because they were breaking the rules in some fashion.
Her
So
parents were, or
Yes.
okay.
her
And now
parents
she's
were.
gonna break the rules.
What's that? Yeah, now she's going to. Right. So anyway, her and this vampire are falling in love, and that's creating all sorts of issues. So you see there her current parents, which is a female couple, and
That's her aunt.
Oh, I get. Oh, right. I guess they're like her.
Her aunt and her partner.
Yeah, her acting parents, I guess, since her real parents were dead. They raised her after her parents were killed. So anyway, her powers are so powerful that they're breaking through the hex anyway. So she's starting to experience her powers, and she's getting more powerful. And then I think in the last episode we saw another witch that was trying to get information from her, removed the hex as a means of helping her, I think. So,
Or
Yeah.
manipulating her. We'll see.
yeah, or right. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of interplay between the vampires and the demons. We haven't seen a lot of the demon powers yet. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that. But it's a pretty interesting series. A lot of good chemistry between Matthew Goodwood, who plays the part of the lead vampire, Matthew Claremont. And so at least he's got the same first name as an actor and a character, which makes it easier.
Yeah, I'm sure when he's on set.
Right.
So I've heard good things about this. I've seen a lot of positive reviews. I know Shudder featured it for a while. And I know it's based on a series of books.
Uh-huh.
So I've definitely have been like watching and creeping on this, but I hated to start a new series because I like to binge.
Yeah.
I am not a patient waiter for stories, just like I'm starting to binge Wheel of Time finally. And I guess they're on the last season for the Discovery of Witches.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a completed series. And I've kind of been holding out because I know I'm probably going to obsess just a little bit.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty good. We're watching, we watch a couple episodes on Friday and then a couple more on Sunday typically. So we're working through it pretty quick. But
I need my magic fix since The Witcher is, not till 2023 now.
right,
Oh.
right. Well, this is a good one to pick up for sure. We really like it. And then to shift gears a little bit, for those that are into D&D, there's a new animated series called Vox Machina, which is voiced by a lot of the characters that we see in the Critical Role series that you may have seen on YouTube if you watch that. And it's pretty funny. It opens up, the first episode is pretty hilarious. You see this band of adventurers, there's the rogue and the wizard and the dwarf and the ranger and all this stuff. And they're on this mountaintop overlooking this scene of carnage, where there's this horrible countryside destroying monster that they've got to slay. And so they hear the monster approaching and roaring, and you see them all pick up their weapons, and you see the dwarf, and he's the first one, and he says, "I've got my hammer and I'm gonna," and with that the creature drops a giant rock on him and crushes him and kills him. And then the wizard says, "Oh, that's enough." And the wizard starts, getting these orbs and crackling energy. And then all of a sudden the dragon breathes fire on him, turns him to a crisp, and he floats away as dust.
Well, you don't know that it's a dragon yet.
Well, no, you don't. Whatever it is. And
fire, you assume.
well, radiant energy, it could be. Anyway, so it pretty much kills this entire band in a heartbeat.
It's hilarious.
And that's kind of where it starts. So basically this kingdom has been hiring these well-known adventurers to go take out this evil that's ravaging the countryside, and every group so far has been horribly destroyed. I think one of the characters talking to the king says, "Well, the murder mayhem group was murdered. The group of slasher dwarves was slashed." It goes through basically the whole joke
So
line,
it's
right?
all the jokes
Yes.
that people love about D&D and
Right.
makes them want to be in a campaign.
Yeah. So of course, then it cuts to a scene in a tavern where you have our actual heroes of the show, and they're all in a drinking contest, getting drunk, and then they break into a
so
barroom
D&D.
brawl, and the mayhem ensues.
Never get in a drinking contest with the barbarian.
Right.
Don't do it.
So
Hey, you're watching this too, right, Seth?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We
'Cause
watched
it's
all 3
on
episodes that are
Netflix?
available.
It's on
Amazon.
Amazon.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Bill and Linda, you don't normally like cartoons. What makes you like this for maybe the other audience members who are not big fans of animations, but you're really loving this?
Subject matter. It just, having played D&D, it is just so like it.
So like a campaign.
Yeah. And I was taken in by the first 5 minutes of the show, where what you think are the heroes that are going to be leading the show are just instantly wiped out.
Incinerated,
And it's just
right.
hilarious. And that's the way the whole show is. It's pretty damn funny. So, and I like the style of animation. It's really good, I think. And the characters are fairly interesting.
The bard is so the bard, singing every freaking where they go.
You haven't seen the 3rd episode yet, right?
No, we're just one episode in, but we like it.
You will like Scanlan in the 3rd episode too.
That's the bard, right?
A musical number.
Oh,
He's got a musical number for everything.
It's a bigger musical number. It involves lighting.
Oh no.
okay.
I love
Nice.
Yeah,
it's good.
Unless I think I might be wrong about this, but I think like the Legend of Vox Machina, the story they're telling now, and that they told in the graphic novels Legend of Vox Machina, I think this is the story of the Critical Role group before they start the game they were playing when they were just playing and not recording.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
Oh, yeah, there they are.
They look like fun.
And Matt Mercer he does the initial narration at least, and I'm pretty
Right.
sure he does some other voice acting in the show too.
They're very good. I mean, their voices are fantastic. So
There are a bunch of voices that are quickly recognizable in this
Yep.
show.
Right.
David Tennant
Oh
is
wow.
that he's the big Scottish sounding general.
oh no.
Felicia Day is in episode 2,
Oh wow.
Nice.
although I hate to tell you she dies pretty quick.
Oh, no.
Eh.
Why is she
But-
always dying? She's becoming the Sean Bean of fandoms.
But yeah, while you're if you're watching it, go ahead and pause it every now and again for the X-ray, because they got a good voice acting cast for this.
General Krieg.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing from David. So he's the general that's talking to the king, man. Because I didn't even recognize his voice.
Oh, I recognize it was something familiar instantly, because it's basically it's really close to the voice he was using for Scrooge McDuck.
Oh,
That
all right.
Scottish accent.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Very cool.
Oh man. I gotta get through Wheel of Time because I'm binging on that. I need to check the timeline of how long this is free, because it's Amazon Prime owned, so it might be free, but the Discovery Witches might have a timeline, because I'm honestly planning on binging so much shit here in about 5-6 weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
Amazon has been putting out a lot of good content lately.
Mhm.
New season of The Expanse, Wheel of Time, Lord of the Rings is coming soon.
Yeah.
Legend of Vox Machina, The Boys.
And I just feel like nothing would ring more nerdy maternity leave than to just binge all the shows.
Yeah.
See, and I don't know how you did the whole pregnancy thing without trying to binge the pregnancy. How you waited, you know.
Oh,
Get it all
no.
done in a weekend.
Yeah.
I did binge, but that was the caloric kind of binging, especially during the holidays. Because let me tell you, timing that third trimester for holiday cookies and cakes and food and birthday,
Ooh.
Ooh.
that is the game plan, ladies.
If there's one word of advice, that's what you'd give them.
Yes, yes. and then you do it in winter, so you get to just wear the big cozy clothes, and no
Right.
one sees the beach ball you have under your shirt as easily.
Nice.
Funny.
Sounds like a
So-
good plan. I think you got it all down.
Pro tip.
Nice. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, but I've seen previews of it. It looks funny. I was like, do I really need to watch something else right now? Because the nursery's not done. But I may have to pick this up for something funny and light. Because how long are the episodes?
Half
They're
an
not
hour.
long.
Yeah.
Okay, then we may have to watch it after we watch our scary stuff or Archive 81 or anything that's kind of disturbing
Right.
to feel
Palate
lighter and
cleanser.
happier.
Right.
It is, because we just watched also Malignant was added to HBO Max, and we're definitely needing something funny and lighthearted when we watch those darker shows.
Nice. Well, yeah, this will do it. It's pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I love Grog.
yeah. Great characters. All right, folks. Well, anybody?
Yeah, the end of the first episode, like after that bar fight where he's just like playing with the hand that he cut off.
I know. Perfect. It's perfect.
Can I keep that?
The smell. Oh no.
Yeah, as long as he's not like the guy in The Walking Dead that wore the necklace of ears around his.
Oh.
I mean, that is a lady killer accessories. I don't know what you're talking about.
You'd be all over that.
I mean, that is a lady killer accessory in that you kill the ladies and then you wear the ears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was totally intentional.
Right. We should have looked to see if any of those ears had piercings, like earrings or something.
Oh,
We'd
Then
know
you
if they were
hang
male or
other
female.
ears from the ears.
What's that?
that's the move.
It-
Like a chain of ears.
Yeah, if the ear has an earring for it, you can
Oh,
then
yeah.
hang an ear from the ear.
Oh, yeah.
A chain of ears. Okay, gross.
That'd be very disturbing. All right. Well, on that note, I guess we will call it. And thank you all for listening again to another episode. We hope you'll check out one of these 3 shows. Again, Archive 81, Discovery of Witches, and Vox Machina. And they're all pretty good shows. Highly recommended. You check them out. And we will be back next time where we're going to talk a little bit about Boba Fett, because we should be further into that by the next show. And we're also going to do a little review of Spider-Man No Way Home, I think, right, Seth?
Yeah, assuming other people other than me watch it.
Right.
Well, and hey, this is a perfect time. What is our audience watching? What is some maybe not as well-known series or shows that have been added to the streaming services that have been out for a while that didn't get much hype that we should be looking at and recording?
Right. Good question for the week.
What should we watch?
Right. What are we missing out on? All right, folks. Thanks again for listening. And we will certainly be back again next week with some more fun content. So take care.
Hey, in the meantime, remember to like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment anywhere on our website, galacticdriftwood.space, and check out our sister podcast over at synergynation.net, synnation.net.
All right. Sounds good. Take care. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.